And we're privileged to have Mzwanele Manyi, Director of Lottie Dogs, who joins us in studio. Good afternoon to you, and thanks so much for joining us.
Hi.
Congratulations are in order, I must say. I was equally as surprised. I had heard from colleagues and friends asking, is this real? How did the transaction come about?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. No, the transaction has long been coming and been negotiating it over a period, and we're very excited that it has finally come to what it is today. I think the big important thing for me is the fact that also the employees' anxiety must be toned down, because all of these negative vibes about the business and the owners and everything must have caused some kind of anxiety. So indeed, we are indebted to the employees of this place, and I want to once again publicly assure them that their jobs are guaranteed, they are safe. In fact, they must give it their best shot. We need to take this place to the next level. In fact, we're actually looking for more talent as we grow this business. We're looking for more talent. So if you thought they're giving you a hard time at ENCA, at SABC, come and knock here. If any of the print publications are giving you a hard time, come and talk to us. We are looking for new talent, and we want to make sure that we preserve the people that we have that have served the station very well. And but we're also looking for more talent.
All right. So sorry, are the recruitment channels open? Is that what you're advertising? So people can start submitting their resumes.
Yeah, not to me directly through the various processes, but we want to have the right kind of problem. And the problem we want to have is so many people want to be part of this success story, because we're looking at making serious inroads into the market in the country and also into the market in the continent.
Now, Mr. Manyi, what were some of the reasons that made you decide on buying the company?
I think firstly, it's a very good business with great prospects. It can't get any worse. If this business has shown a lot of resilience, this business has shown a lot of stability amidst all kinds of sabotage activity happening, amidst all kinds of negative reporting by mainstream media against this establishment. Now, if you could withstand that, that was for me the truest test, as it were to say. There is resilience here. One is buying into not just machines here, one is buying into the people of this business that have shown so much resilience, so much character, and therefore, with the right support, we can only go places, all of us.
And I mean, when it comes to economic transformation, radical economic transformation at that, and black empowerment, you've been a crusader and pioneer in that space. Do you think this deal is long overdue, and hopefully it will be replicated in other sectors as well?
Yeah, most definitely. I think if there is anything called radical economic transformation, if this is not it, then I don't know what is. Because what we have just done here now overnight, we have a business that's going to be owned by a local black South African, not only black African in particular. What else can you ask for? And also, it's not just some person from the street, or obviously bring a lot of background in the space. I used to run GCIS, so for me, I see this as a GCIS at a grander scale, not only focusing on government, but this is the GCIS of South Africa. So all the thought processes that were in there are going to come into play here, and I think we're going to complement each other very well with management, which, by the way, is going to be left to make its own editorial decisions, so to speak. But I'll be suggesting stories, obviously. I'll be breaking new grounds everywhere. And my biggest job will be to be a business development person.
When the channel started, we're celebrating our 4th birthday, the 21st of August. I remember distinctly seeing billboards all over the place with your face on it, being a show anchor. Are you making a comeback, as it were?
No. I think Sfiso is doing a great job on Straight Talk. He's doing a great job. We must continue doing that. I want to give him the right kind of problems. I want him to not to know which person is going to interview tomorrow and all that, because he's got so much choice. So, which is exactly what I want to do, even with the news teams. I want to make sure that I enable the business to grow, as I said, both locally and continentally, even internationally. This house has got a potential to be the household of not South Africa, but of the continent. We're looking at ensuring that we have business here that is not only political, but also has business sections that are proper, developmental news, all kinds of news, international news. There's going to be a vibe. This place is a place that is not going to sleep. If you want to sleep, open other channels. If you want to know what is happening, you want to be awake, you want content news, you want news that are credible, news that are honest, this is the place to be.
Let's talk finances, though, because we know that the nature of these transactions is, as you said, cumbersome, and a certain compliance is required. The local shareholding now is sorted out, but I know you approached the IDC as well to finance the deal. How did that work out? And eventually, what is the structure of
I mentioned the IDC not for this deal particularly. I mentioned the IDC as my experience in terms of fundraising. I had another deal that I was working on, a 300 million rand deal on a listed entity. And indeed, I dealt with IDC for a good 18 months. And we've been toing and throwing. And then when you were ready with audited financial, and I'm saying this not to badmouth IDC, but so that it's clear as to what are the challenges that entrepreneurs face with these DFIs of ours. That I went there, and then they would ask for audited financials. We give them audited financials. They sit on them up until they are stale. Then before they make a decision, then you must have revised ones. But when you have revised ones, then the revised ones are not audited. They're more like management accounts. Then again, it's a problem. You know, so this thing has been going on and on. 18 months later, I had to abandon the deal because this was just not happening. So in this particular environment, I decided that I had to come up with an aggressive business plan and negotiate for vendor financing, which is what I got at terms that are making sense to me.
Okay, and vendor financing, if you'll just explain that in English.
Vendor financing is when when the person selling the business is actually so convinced that we are going to seriously make a success of it, that they are willing to even borrow you the money. So right now, the 450 million, I'm the poorest man in the country as things sit right now. I have the biggest debt in the country. I have 450 million that I owe at a particular interest rate and all that. The difference is that I didn't have to go to IDC now and spend another 18 months. This was, although it took a bit longer, but it was quietly done and all that. And I think South Africa was also taken by surprise. And the things were held under wraps. And this just shows also commitment from the outgoing shareholders that they just want to make sure that the deal is expedited. They wanted to make sure as well with a joint interest to make sure that the employees, a very important issue is our employees, to make sure that the employees' jobs are secured, that the future is bright, and we can get rid of all the negativity and all the toxicity that is surrounding the business.
Yes, because at the moment there are some who are questioning the deal, but now how is your response to that?
Look, I think one of the biggest challenges that South Africa has is colonization. When a black person, African in particular, does something, immediately the default position is you either have stolen the money or you've doing something wrong. That's part of how much colonized people are. So this opportunity is an opportunity that we should welcome. I participated in the drafting of the broad-based BE codes. The issues of fronting are a serious issue. It's a crime to front. So anybody that thinks I'm fronting is accusing me of a crime. And that thing carries a 10-year jail sentence. So I can't go wide awake into a situation where I'm actually inviting a 10-year jail sentence for me. This is a genuine deal, and people are going to see as we move forward that we mean business. There's going to be a vibe in here. There's going to be a lot of retention, staff retention, and I can assure you there's going to be a lot of people that are joining us. I've already got a few calls already from businesses that want to be a part of the arrangement with the deals that we're going to strike here. You see, for instance, with the property that we have here, we've got the TV, we've got the newspaper. How do we make sure that when you buy any one of them, you get benefit on both? You see, we are well positioned and uniquely positioned to be able to sell a unique value selling proposition that nobody else can repeat.
So you're saying that it's almost been instantaneous. No sooner was the announcement made that you'll be the majority, or at least your company would be majority share, that the perception or the reputational risk that we've been hearing about shifted.
Yeah, it has to, because you see, one of the things that was part of the timing of this deal was a judgment on Friday. That was very crucial for me, because you must remember, before Friday, there was a lurking thing about 72 suspicious transactions and all kinds of alleged shady dealings. The judgment on Friday was very, very important by a full bench that dismissed Gordon's case. Did not only dismiss that case, they also dismissed the FICA report or whatever it was that had to do with those transactions. So as you sit here and now, we have the shareholders of this company that are the outgoing shareholders that are smelling roses because the Court of South Africa, an independent judiciary, full bench, no 2 against 1 or 1 against 3 or whatever, full bench has declared that there was no basis to be concerned about the kinds of dealings that the Guptas had with the former Minister of Finance, that whatever was there, there's no reason to have a declaratory order. So that on its own means that there was no case to be made in the first place, as it was. So for me, that was very pivotal in saying, let them get a tick in terms of what the court says about them.
What is the biggest headache, though, that you're facing? And I would imagine that the bank accounts has been an issue in terms of securing the liquidity that the company needs.
Look, I am not involved in the bank account. As you know, the drill, that the bank accounts of the Guptas and the banks is another business. Between the two of them, third parties can't get involved. So as to what happens there between the banks and the Guptas, they deal with it. That is not what I'm dealing with. What I'm dealing with is the business, the entity, is the going forward of the business. I've been sold this business, and that's my biggest focus now. Is the Guptas are big boys. They can take care of themselves. They will respond in whatever manner they respond to. They will deal with things whichever way they deal with. I'm not their spokesperson. I am now representing Lodi Docs, the company that has bought this company.
And your share options, exactly how much does Lodi Docs own?
Look, I think, as you know, management has 10%, the rest is Lodi Docs. So indeed, we are a substantial shareholder here, and we are going to make sure that that shareholding increases value in the organization. We are going to make sure that within that shareholding, because there are a lot of people that are calling me now that they want a piece of the action. So I have enough equity to say, okay, maybe I can't just be by myself. Maybe we can invite other people. So those discussions will happen as we move along. But it was important to consummate the deal myself so that we don't fight from the beginning. Because sometimes when you bring partners from the beginning, you fight about strategy, you fight about a whole range of things. But right now, this has been consummated, so there's a lot less moving parts. So whoever comes is going to be assured there's a clear vision where we need to go. And if you buy into the vision, if you buy into the direction, then we can partner. So we don't have empty arguments about we should go left or we should go right.
And now, looking at what you said, that there are some businesses that are interested in coming in, what do you think they are looking for when they're coming in here?
No, I think they're seeing potential to make money. This is a money-making business. Everybody that is talking to me now about joining, they are saying this is an opportunity to buy at a low base and looking at an upside. Now, if you look now as to the opportunity that this presents is massive, as it were. If you look at the government budget on marketing and advertising, it's massive. We have to break into that. If you look at even the private sector companies, the marketing budgets that they have, advertising budgets that they have, massive. So, and with the kind of shareholding that we have now, with the kind of editorial policy that we're going to have to work on to make sure that it complies as best as it can with the press code, that everybody is going to be happy. This institution will reflect, in fact, will surpass what the press code is asking for. We're going to continue to have honesty, that's what we've been having. We're going to continue on integrity. We're going to continue on the ethics. And we're going to ensure that we issue news that are balanced, and we give the voice to the voiceless and all that. So it will epitomize diversity, this business. So it's a great, exciting project, not only for South Africa, but for the continent.
So when do you expect a turnaround or your turnaround strategy to kick in, especially when it comes to advertising and the reputational risk and even the perception that with you at the helm, it might be biased or it won't be an independent entity?
That's why I'm making all these public statements here to say that this business is going to be delivering news, credible news, that are unassailable in terms of content, in terms of accuracy. That's very important. In terms of objectivity, we're going to have sweet and sour. We're not going to have a situation where we just what a good news channel or a news channel. Whether news are good or bad, whatever it is, we're going to dish it out. There's going to be no place to hide. And others have been asking me about various factions. This is not a factional arrangement. Though I know a lot of people have put me in the Zuma camp and so on. It doesn't matter. President Zuma is the elected president of this country. I support him, no problem. But I have no problem, for instance, if the deputy president, Cyril Ramaphosa, wants to come to the station. In fact, that should be one of my top projects, because we want to break the stereotype. So we want to break the stereotype deliberately. So I want to publicly invite Deputy President of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, to come to the station and tell us what is it that he is going to bring to South Africa, and Lindiwe Sisulu and all others that are vying. So we're going to, in fact, one of the suggestions I've been given is to, and we have to take this and say, we'll just make a commitment between the three of us here. What we're going to have, we're going to have a presidential program. We're going to get 3 or 4 of the candidates, and we're going to interview them here the first time on ANN7. So if anybody steals this idea, they're stealing our idea. So we're going to bring 3 or 4 presidential candidates here and ask them as to, if they're in charge, what's likely to change. Only ANN7 can bring that.
Yeah. Are you keen on restoring relationships, if you will? And I'm talking about the opposition. We know during the local government elections, everybody found it necessary to be on the platform. And then, gradually, we've sort of severed those kind of relationships.
Yeah, look, I think let's have a fresh start. It's a new beginning. We are not here to fight anybody. We are here to do what is right for the country. We are here to do what is right for our people that are working so hard to make the station a success, as it were. So indeed, we don't harbor any grudges. And if we have annoyed anybody, let's apologize right now. Apologize to everybody that we've ever offended. We're asking for a new chance, a new beginning. We want to make sure that the station is a success.
Yeah, but we've heard calls, of course, and this is a huge concern to employees as ourselves, that there is imminent closure of the channel, or that there has been petitions to close us down. So you're saying that those kind of negotiations, or rather that you're mending relations, as it were? Yeah,
no, we're mending relations wherever there will not be, let me make this clear, there will not be a proactive stance from the group here to fire anybody. And if the relationships prior to us coming in have been such that they created those kinds of anxieties, the very first task is to make sure that we meet the relevant parties, to make sure that whatever those details are, which you seem to know more about than I.
Well, it's in the public domain.
So we'll have to mend those relationships. And we want to say publicly to those people that we're coming in good, we're coming without a fight. There's no reason to fight. Whatever was unresolved, we are making a commitment. We'll resolve the issues, and we have to make sure that in South Africa, the issue of media diversity becomes a fact of life. The issue of the voices that are not heard, those voices must be heard. What's happening in the rural areas, we want to know. what's happening in the development space, want to know everything. So there's not going to be any relationship that we're not going to be able to clean up.
Okay, and let's deal with the in-house matters, domestic affairs, in terms of the staff, what they can expect. There are backlogs in certain departments, be it whether that we require more training or more resources. What is your plan going forward for staff?
Yeah, look, I mustn't be confused with the group CEO. Some of what you're asking is a group CEO matters. All I can assure you is that the top management is going to have my full backing to ensure that all those issues are dealt with. We're going to ensure that there's clear governance. There's no line of sight between employees and the shareholder. The employees are going to be reporting like they've been doing to their management, and I'll be interfacing with the board of the organization. But obviously I'll do a meet and greet and hello and whatever, but all kinds of formal processes and things. Your boss is still your boss. Whoever your boss is, that continues. But your boss is going to get 10 times the support that they've been getting to make sure that your lives are better. What we want is happy employees. We believe in Lodi Dogs that the most important person is the employee. If the employee is happy, the business is happy. So for us, first prize is to make sure that all our employees, they must walk with a spring. They must walk with pride. If we achieve that, the rest is easy.
It's a good time indeed. But I mean, your concerns though, realistically speaking, in this very highly politicized space, in how long your vision will take to manifest?
No, look, I think South Africa is a political space. We cannot avoid that. The station will continue to deal with politics as it's been doing, and it's been doing a great job, by the way. What we will do is just to add to what has been happening. We'll add a bit more on the business side of things to see what more can be done in terms of business reporting and all that, just to get a bit of mix, as it were, what's happening in other environments that are not traditionally been reported. So we're going to look at the whole canvas and make sure that when you listen to ANN7, you get a full picture of what is happening in South Africa. This must be the station where, if you really want to know what is happening, quality news must come here. Nothing that is going to come through here should be some made up, something put in salt or something to make it sound spicy. No, it must be credible, it must be real, and it must be factual.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Manyi, for coming through.
You're welcome.
I think it would be Sir Manyi now. I don't know how to salute you. There's a new sheriff in town, right? But thank you so much. Mzwanele Manyi is the director of Lodi Docs and now the majority share in Africa News Network and the New Age newspaper. So, yeah. That's good news indeed. In fact, a very apt or adequate birthday present.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. All right. Good evening, South Africa. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more news and updates. Stay tuned.